G'day, Kyle. It's fantastic to have you on the show, Built, Trusted, Chosen today. Do you want to just tell the audience who you are, where you're from, what you're up to these days?
Sure. I'm Kyle Bailey. I own Front Burner Marketing down here in Austin, Texas, and I've owned it for 15 years. And I'm focused on helping home service business owners speak more clearly to their market, the homeowner.
Fantastic. That's really keen to have you on the show. Obviously, our audience is trades and construction, so the home services certainly falls well within that. We call them tradies here in Australia. Have you come across
Tradies,
that?
I like that.
Term? Yeah.
I like that.
We seem to shorten or extend every name, nicknames for everything, which is cool. So you've been in the marketing game for a little while now, and it's curious what drew you to have a niche market in the trades and construction, or the trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I grew up in it. My dad was a remodeler, which means you do all the trades, and so grew up framing, building cabinets, installing cabinets. And the cool thing about remodeling is you're really a problem solver more than anything else, because you go in to take out a set of cabinets and put a new one in, and you find out they were built-ins and the back of the structure of the wall is not up to current code, or the electricity is outdated and has to be rewired. Once you open those walls up, you run into all sorts of things. So I always enjoyed that as a great connection point with my dad, of course. And then growing up, I just found that I had a penchant for the sales process. And then when the internet really matured, as far as social media, Facebook's business pages came online around 2010. And that's when I really got big into the digital space, because I understood how powerful business pages were. Of course, since shortly after that, Facebook choked those down, so the reach isn't what it was back then. Those were the good old days. It lasted about a year. And then from there, I started doing SEO, started building websites, and the sales process really is where I found my home with helping folks, because evidently, just lots of people could do SEO, lots of people could do content, lots of people could do social media, but attaching all that to the sales process was just a step that was always missing. And then in the last year and a half, with the rise of AI, what we're seeing now is you've got a need now. You're kind of out of time to adapt. That ship has sailed, and you have to adapt to what's going on out there. And the best way you can do that, in addition to solid SEO, is to tell your story in such a way that it expands your brand, so that every time a customer is encountering you, the moment your truck rolls up to their house and your uniformed personnel get out of their truck and walk to the door, your story's being told. And that's why the name of my book is What's Your Story? And it's the path to purchase with a homeowner. It's how to get the homeowner to understand your story, so that they connect their story with your story. Because the truth is, you both have that, right? So the homeowner has a story up to the moment that they called you. They're calling you because their story has advanced them to that point in the plot, right? And then you have a story. Your ability to deliver that service that day that they called you involves your story. Now, if we can tell those stories and marry those up, then they have a connection point with you. And they're going to do more than buy from you. They're going to buy into your company. And in turn, what that's going to create is more brand mentions. You're not going to be the plumber. You're going to be Pete the plumber. You're not going to be the roofer. You're going to be Rick the roofer, right? Because that brand came home, right? And it encountered them in their story. And now it's a part of their story. That's what the book's about.
Yeah, love it. It's so true. We're living in a time with the influx of information. There's been a lot of content around, but it's just growing rapidly with the people being able to mass produce content at scale with a few clicks of a button, and it's not necessarily unique or distinct or compelling. And I think you're right. Storytelling is a way to cut through all that noise and to connect on a heart level with the homeowners in this instance. And certainly homeowners have a passion for their own home and to improve it if that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
Have a dream and a vision for what home might look like. And so
Yes.
the
Yes.
storytelling aspect is powerful. How do you go about drawing that out of the home services businesses? Is it a challenging task for you to find out what's unique and distinct? Because we're so close to our own stories, we don't know what's going to resonate with our audience all the time.
Yeah, you just hit on the reason I wrote the book, because what I saw as fairly a straightforward task was very, very difficult for home service business owners. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Home service business owners live in a world where they're hammering a nail, metaphorically. That's what they're doing all day long. They're hammering a nail. The idea that that might have some story to it isn't necessarily the first thing that comes to mind. It's very counterintuitive. And it's not necessarily that your story is unique. That runs counter to a lot of things that are said these days. But the reality is, everybody who puts a roof on uses a hammer, right? Everybody, you came into it, you like it. You're if you're let's just separate two sets of people. We're only talking about the people who do a good job and serve their customers well. We're not talking about the people who do a halfway job or don't follow up or actually rip people off. We're not talking about any of those people. Talking about professional people who show up on time, who are going to do a good job when they get there and they take care of their customers. Okay. You're all going to have something in common, right? But the reality is, not everyone will tell their story. And in fact, I would say most won't. So, what that gives you, if you're a roofer out there, you're a plumber out there, is that you have a distinct opportunity to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And if you look at any mature multi-location brand, like a roofing brand or a plumbing brand that is in multiple cities or even multiple states, really talking from the US here, you can see this in action because they almost always have some kind of mascot. There's some kind of almost like a hero origin story, right? And then there's some family connection. Then you'll have some other connection points. It'll either be a community, maybe even national service. There will be some connection points there. And what's happening there is you're starting to get like a serotonin dopamine connection with that brand, right? And so that is a very difficult thing for somebody running 5 trucks to grasp that they can do. And so it all starts with your core values. So in the book, I talk about you must audit your core values for yourself to really exhaustively detail and list those and really flesh out the definitions on each one of those, because we all probably feel like, well, I know my core values, right? But the reality is, when you articulate all of them, you'll start realizing other ones branch off, or maybe this is two mixed into one. You got to get those really fleshed out to where you personally understand those for you and your company. Now the next step is you need to do a team audit. So all of your team, ask them, what are the core values of this company? What do you experience the core values of this company to be? You don't want to influence that process. You would just want a cold read on it. Then go beyond that and go to your happy customers and get their audit on what your core values are. The last part's the most painful. You want to do a negative core values audit, and that's where you figure out where the gaps are that you need to fill in.
Yeah.
But that's a good starting place. And the magic is how you connect that to your content, to your sales process, to your SEO, to your branding, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, getting all those foundations right first up, the values, so you know what you're building upon, those foundations.
Yes.
So you can build the right content and the right messaging to build that trust. So the trust
Yeah.
is a massive piece of the marketing puzzle these days. Particularly, it feels as though trust is being eroded in a whole lot of ways
Mm,
for a
yeah.
whole lot of reasons as well. So, what once you have got established your set of values and the core foundational items that you want to communicate, how do you go about building that out as content items? So, what kind of content are we talking about in your world? What do you suggest?
That's a great question. So the way I look at it, it's less about what content. I mean, obviously the about content, meet our team content. That's the obvious places. But rather than distinct content pieces, I look at it more like osmosis. Like if you ever did a experiment in school where you had a big like a tank of water, and then you put some substance in there, and it colored the water very distinctly when it went in because it was all isolated to one spot. But then through osmosis, it works its way throughout the tank, and now all the water is now colored with that substance. That's the way I look at it. Because let's say you're talking about the family connection, you know now I grew up in this business. My dad taught me the values of always treating a customer just like we would treat our own home. Think about your mom, in our kitchen at home. You wouldn't want to leave this work done like this for your mom, would you? So my dad taught me that at an early age. That story, now that resonates right now. Let's say we're talking about an individual service page. The reality we're mixing this very touchy feely, warm and fuzzy aspect of storytelling where I connect emotionally with this story. We're connecting that with highly technical SEO, right? So the highly technical SEO part is how you set up a service page. So I'm going to go mywebsite.com/location. I'm in the Austin area. So let's say we go through a small city, Round Rock, right outside of Austin. And so I say mysite.com/Round Rock/Round Rock Roofing Company. And now I'm on a service page. And then now I'm talking about problems with roofing, problems that you encounter, the reason you're going to call us as a roofing company. And of course, all this is marked up with all the H2 data and all this metadata that all of us SEOs love to go on and on about. But then in the content piece, I'm going to call back to that story element. Okay. So I'm going to either link back to my about page with a little blurb about how this is why my dad and I we've been doing this since 1953 or whatever it is. So it becomes when you do this right, it becomes your brand itself, because it's woven into every piece of cloth on your entire website. Did that answer your question well?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's something that you'll massage through anything that you're producing. I
Yes.
suppose once those things are solid and you rock solid on those ideas, it becomes easier to think about them and how they relate to any piece that you're working on at any given time.
Mhm.
Do you use like ChatGPT as a form of a prompt to guide any content through, like a mechanism to make sure it's on the storyline, or how do you go about doing that practically?
We look at ChatGPT and any LLM. Claude's great for writing. um, we look at all of those as like a framework or a template. It'll lay down like foundational content, but you've got to make sure that you're putting the human element in there. Because the thing about, and I don't really hear many people talking about this, maybe I'm just missing it, and they are talking about it, but if you can ask ChatGPT to write something, your competition can too.
Yeah,
And it should be no surprise to you that it's going to spit out something very similar for them. And so the day is coming, it's not far away, when the majority of content that's being put out there, the majority of it is going to be put out by AI or
yeah,
AI efforts. And you're going to run into the same thing that you ran into back when Google enforced a lot of content data. It's so that you've got this medium level of content writing that's about to hit the market, and nothing will be below that anymore. But now, how do you differentiate? If you've got 100 roofing companies in a major market,
yeah.
like, if you've got a major market like the Dallas Fort Worth area in Texas, or the Houston area in Texas, you've got 7 to 12 million people living in those areas. You've got 10,000 roofing companies.
Mm,
So how are you going to separate yourself? And that's
yeah,
where nobody has exactly your story. Nobody grew up with your dad, right? Nobody grew up putting roofs in with your dad, right? And so the
Yeah.
things that motivate you and move you forward and the way you serve your community, and these things are things that can't be copied, right? And so that's why story is so important. So getting back to your question, we'll use AI to build like a lattice work or a framework to like a good thing to do with AI is to ask it like, what are all the fundamental elements that I need in this kind of page? Like analyze my five competitors, the five people on page one, and tell me what would be missing in this. Like what all do I need to include on this page? And those are the technical elements. You need 5
Yeah.
reviews, you need 7 images, they need to be marked up this way. That's great for that because it keeps
Yeah.
you on a good level playing field. You know what you're up against. But when it comes down to the piece that the part that you want your customer to be motivated to call you on, that's when you got to put your own stuff in there.
Yeah. 100%. That's the way to cut through. And I suppose the advantage of a home services business is they do have a story and a reputation within the town in which they serve, or the city, the location they serve. Everyone
Yeah.
has reputation that should be leveraged. Everybody knows in a region who the good plumber or the good electrician is, or we call them sparkies here in Australia. There's another term
I
for
love
you.
it. Love that.
We've got names for everything, but everybody knows in my town who the good ones are and who the bad ones are. So that's that
Mhm.
reputation out there, and so that's part of the story. That
Sure.
they have a great reputation because they have a great story to tell. That they believe in some solid values, and these things should be shared so that other people can understand who they are precisely, and
Mhm.
get to know
Yeah.
who they are on a deeper level. I think you're right. The storytelling aspect is going to be massive. It already is,
Yes.
but just a way to differentiate. And even a lot of the businesses I work with, and you probably experience the same, there'll be a family business. So there'll be typically it might be a man and woman running the business. And I know I'm generalizing, but it might be the man on the tools and the lady doing more of
Mhm.
the administrative, bookkeeping, accounting, all
Sure.
the other hard work
Right.
in the office.
Right.
But sometimes there'll be a reluctant partner in the business who wants to stay behind the scenes, but their aspect of the story is just as important. It shows it demonstrates a family with some form of values, that they're connected and they're loving, and they're moving forward as a family. We're talking about businesses who work in people's homes, so that
Yes.
part of the story, I think it's a massive opportunity that people just miss. Have you experienced the same thing?
Which part? The team members kind of fulfilling
Yeah,
their
just
roles?
family businesses not leveraging the capacity of the story of the family entity, but also the individuals within that family.
Oh, sure. Well, every aspect that you can think of is usually underutilized, because again, I'm swinging a hammer, hitting a nail all day. I'm not thinking about story. I don't understand how story connects because that's not my role. I put roofs on houses. I keep your
Yeah,
house dry. I keep your entire investment protected. I don't. What story? I tell my kids bedtime stories, but and so that's again. If you are you familiar with Donald Miller story brand?
yes, I have. I have
Okay.
read. I don't know if I've read the full thing, but I've certainly seen aspects of it for sure.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It's too advanced for the average home service business owner because if you're not talking about sales all the time and you're not talking about the sales process all the time and you're not talking about the hero's journey all the time, then you're not ready for that book. That my book is like the precursor to that. And it helps you understand just how to build your own story, to even understand where to start. And I do think, speaking to what you said before, I think I do see a lot of times a tension that can sometimes grow up in internal relationships because maybe somebody who would rather be behind the scenes, that's just their gifting, that's their skill set. And then somebody who would be out front doesn't have that other skill set. And so there could be a tension between them. And if, I would just highly recommend everybody just embrace what your skill sets are. Don't try to do stuff you're weak at, and don't, shame somebody else for something they're not weak that they're weak at. Just embrace what you're strong at and go do that thing, and kind of celebrate the other person. for what they bring to the table. Because if you
Yeah.
can learn to do that, that becomes part of your story too. Here's this great person. She's my daughter. She's my wife. She's behind the scenes. She's the wheels that keep everything running. You see us out here putting roofs on, but we could never get it done without her. You know, when she came on board, you know, we actually became productive because we did A, B, and C better. You know, tell that story. That's a great piece of it. Did I get the answer
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
looking for?
that's brilliant. Yeah, I just
Okay, fine.
see aspects of story that are missed oftentimes because we're not fully considering every party within a business.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's spot on. I agree. The other thing too, the thinking about story, the foundational origin story, these things, but also the story of the day to day as well. I mean, social media is a massive opportunity to share what you're up to on a day to day basis as
Yep.
well, and why you do what you're doing, and why you love it, and so on. Would you go into that as an aspect of the storytelling piece, or how does that play out?
Well, that actually makes that part of your life a lot easier because when you have a very articulated, when I say articulated, what I mean is if I ask you what your 7 core values are, you're like, all 7. When I ask you how they work out in service A that you have in roof repair, how they connect, bam, 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 bam. Not only that, I can stop any member of your team as they're walking up to a house and ask them the same questions and they give me the same answers. That's when you've got an operational story. Your story is
Yeah,
operational in your company. Now, when you've reached that point, now all of a sudden you're much more equipped to quickly do a quick selfie on in a neighborhood. For instance, I'm going to this neighborhood. We're taking a look at these houses. I don't know if you know or not, but Dallas, Texas, the Dallas Fort Worth area in Texas is the hail capital of the world. They get more hail than anywhere in the entire world. And so, you know, for roofers doing hail damage, inspections and hail damage repair, roofing repair, leaks caused by, you know, hail and stuff like that, those are all going to be easy social media. That's low hanging fruit. So when you're doing this now, you're no longer saying, I'm Rick the roofer. I'm going into this neighborhood to check for hail damage. I'm Rick the roofer. We've been going to this neighborhood for 35 years. And just like my dad used to tell me, you always got to take care of these customers because they take care of you, or you take care of your customers because they're part of your community. We believe giving back to our community and taking care of our community. You're speaking these things, these values are just coming out of you in your everyday social media conversations. And now, again, you get this idea where it's literally woven in to every aspect of your company.
yeah. So it just becomes second nature eventually once you've got it
Yes. Yes.
embedded into yourselves and your team members. Um, I suppose and you mentioned also to get some insights from your customers. That I suppose that would be a challenging task, would it? How would you suggest people go about doing that, getting insights from their
The
customers?
way anytime you're trying
Yeah,
to get feedback from somebody, this goes in your relationships as well. You never want to seed that process with a weight or a bias towards something. In other words, I don't want to come to you and go, Wes, what did you think about my performance on the podcast today? I tried really hard to do this, and you know, it means a lot. I hate to be embarrassed by bad feedback. What did you think about? You know, you see, I've biased the feedback in a direction, right? Rather,
yeah,
you actually want to welcome negative feedback. And the way I look at it is something like, hey, Wes, I work really hard to improve. I'm always looking for opportunities for improvement. I really enjoyed my time with you today, but I just wanted to know if you could take a quick, this takes like 3 minutes. I've got a 5 question form. Can I send that over to you? And you just give me your feedback, positive or negative. You're not going to hurt my feelings. That actually helps me improve. Would you mind filling that out? You want to do it like that because
yeah,
now what you've done is you've opened the door that you're actually helping me if there's something negative that was in there. Now,
yeah.
if you're
Brilliant.
in interpersonal relationships, if you're actually talking to somebody, there's a process called labeling that a guy named Chris Voss he's all over YouTube. He's a former hostage negotiator, and he does a great job of talking about labeling. And so labeling might be something like this. I might notice while I'm talking to you, we're doing the close down of the process. Maybe we finished your roof repair and I'm in your living room with you and your wife, and I'm like, "Hey, Wes, I really appreciate you. I've been dealing with you the whole time. That's why I'm addressing you." And so I'm like, "Hey, Wes, appreciate your business. Thank you so much for trusting us with your home." And in the process of me talking to you, I'm noticing a little bit of something. You're not responding like the normal happy customer that I have. So I'm going to throw a label out there, and I'm going to say something like, "Hey, we've finished up the roof and everything. You told me before that you were happy with everything, or maybe is there something I missed?" And then you don't talk. And what you're doing is you're giving that opportunity for that negative thing to have some room to breathe, right? And what you don't want is that coming out in the review after you leave, because once it's up on Google, it's not coming down. You know,
Yeah,
um,
true, true.
so that those are a couple of tips on how to kind of source feedback in a holistic way that's going to give you the feedback that you need, because you need to find those negative areas. You've got to find those.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful. The aspect of looking for the negative because it's opportunities to improve, but also for the customer to feel heard as
You're
well. So
exactly right.
they
You're
might have
exactly
something
right.
bottled up and they
Yes.
want to vent, and it's better that they vent to you rather than all their
Yes.
friends and family and social media
Right.
if it's frustration.
Yeah. You're exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, powerful. So tell us a little bit. Has the book launched, or is it still ready to go?
It's about to launch. I should have it. I should have it to the. I'm doing self publishing. I should have that done by this next week, hopefully. But it'll definitely be out by January.
Yeah, yeah. So by the time this is published, it'll be out there ready for people to get it. Maybe there's some of the first customers from this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be
So
great. That'd be
how
great.
would they find? Tell us what the name is and how would they find it?
It's going to be called "What's Your Story,"
Yeah,
and I'm Kyle Bailey, of course. So if you search those two things, you should be able to find it. But you can always go to my website. I'll have it on the front page of my website as well.
yeah, brilliant. So your website. So we'll put that all in the show notes as well. So
Yeah.
frontburnermarketing.com.
Frontburnermarketing.net. .net.
.net. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
always forget to
we'll
say
put
that.
that in
.net.
the yeah, we'll put that in the show notes as well, and people can no doubt connect with you on all the socials and all of that fun stuff as
Yeah.
well, for sure. So uh, we've covered a lot, and it's been brilliant. The storytelling aspect of marketing and branding and so on. It is the future with all the AI creating noise. It's the only way to cut through in a lot of circumstances. So it's been brilliant. Is there anything that we didn't cover that we probably should have gone through? What should have I asked you that I didn't?
No, not at all. I think, it's 30-minute podcast, which is a great format. But I think, I always feel a huge urgency for all home service business owners out there. You've got to adapt to what's coming with AI. This story format will help you because it's going to improve your brand dimensions, but there's content edits that you've got to make to adapt to what's going on. And then there's behavioral things you need to change to adapt to this, or it's going to be like a tsunami. It's just going to come and sweep everything away, because
Yeah,
then it'll be done, and you'll have to be playing from behind at that point.
yeah, yeah. That's right. If you don't stay on top of it, you'll soon be left behind, and that's true of most businesses. I mean, as home services businesses, those who are swinging a hammer, picking up some form of tool that they need to use their hands, they're probably less vulnerable in some ways to someone like me who sits behind a computer all day. My job is the most vulnerable, but eventually all of us are going to be impacted in some way, and even if it's how we manage our businesses behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's
And
not
our
so much like
process.
getting replaced. It's not like losing your job. It's more about getting leads and getting new people to find you. That's what I'm talking about. I think you're exactly
Yeah,
right. Home service
yeah,
is the most insulated from AI replacing you. But
yes,
it's more about how customers find you. I'll give you a quick, for instance, because I know you need to wrap up, but I'll give you a quick example from an experiment that we did. So I had a customer in Dallas, big remodeling customer. We were dominating. We're number one on over 200 keywords across their whole region. when AI really hit about a year and a half ago, and they started doing more local search returns, we were really shocked and horrified to find that we were not present at all in any local search returns. Now, AI is still a small portion of the search landscape out there, but it's still a piece of
Yeah.
it, and it's growing. And
Yeah.
so what we did is we reverse engineered it, went back and put the pieces in place. Then we were able to start showing up. But if we had not done that, we would have lost that whole side of the customer base. And so that's what I'm talking about. That's the danger that every home service business owner is in right now. If you're in a market of, I would say, probably 500,000 or more residents, you've got dangers on the horizon.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true. We've got to stay on top of it from a marketing standpoint. Get out there, get found, get trusted, get chosen.
Nice.
What's
Nice.
that?
I like how you did that. Gotta
Yeah,
get
the show.
trusted, chosen. That's right.
Yeah, that's it. That's my view completely. And to set up in the right foundations at this time, certainly early in a new year, it's a good time to start thinking about, buy the book, start thinking about your business and where you're going to take it into the new year and beyond. And perfect timing for the book. Thanks so much, Kyle, for your time on the show today. It's been brilliant.
Thank you, Wes. I really appreciate it.